So this chapter marks a turning point. The genealogies now move from the past kings to the people who returned from Babylonian exile. After generations of loss, God brings his people back, and the writer records those who helped rebuild community, worship, and order in Jerusalem. Okay? The first part of this chapter covers the summary of Israel's line. All Israel was listed in the genealogies recorded in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. They were taken to Babylon because of their unfaithfulness. Okay, but when the exile ended, the first to return were ordinary people: Israelites, priests, Levites, temple servants. Chronicles begins renewal not with kings or soldiers, but with worshippers and workers. God restores his people from the ground up. All right, so this part covers the second part covers the families who settled in Jerusalem. The returning Israelites came from several tribes: Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, Manasseh. The total number of men in those households was around 956, not counting families. This small group represents a faithful remnant, rebuilding Jerusalem's population and identity. Okay, the third part of the chapter covers the priests. The priests included families descended from Jedaiah, Jehoiarib, and Jachin. Among them were Azariah, the chief officer of the house of God, and others responsible for sacrifices and daily offerings. Their return reestablished temple worship, the heart of Israel's spiritual life. The fourth part of this chapter covers the Levites and their duties. The Levites were responsible for maintaining worship, music, and temple service. Families from Merari, Kohath, and Gershon lines returned. Their duties included preparing the temple music, guarding the gates, and caring for the sacred vessels. The Levites symbolize order and devotion. God values faithful service even more than power. The fifth part of this chapter covers the gatekeepers. Okay, gatekeepers or doorkeepers guarded the entrance to the temple. There were 212 men chosen by genealogy, stationed on all sides of the temple. They were responsible for opening and closing gates, maintaining purity, and protecting God's house. Their work seems humble, but in God's eyes, guarding his presence is sacred. The sixth part of this chapter covers other temple servants. These Levites oversaw the temple furnishing and utensils, the floor, wine, oil, incense, and spices used in worship, and the preparation of sacred bread and offerings. Every act of service, even managing supplies, was a form of worship. Okay, the seventh part of this chapter covers the Saul's genealogy revisited. The chapter ends by restating Saul's family line. First thing, chapter 8. Okay, so Kish generates Saul, then Jonathan, Meribaal, which is Mephibosheth, and Micah, and several generations after. The writer bridges the past to the present, showing that even as new generations return, Israel's full story remains connected to its royal and covenant heritage. So what are the key lessons from this chapter, from the first Chronicles chapter 9? The first one is restoration begins with worship. The first people God brought back were priests, Levites, and gatekeepers, the spiritual foundation of Israel. The second lesson is faithfulness matters more than fame. Chronicles honors ordinary workers, not just kings, proving that every act of service counts before God. Third lesson, God restores that what sin destroyed. Through exile came because of unfaithfulness. Mercy brings renewal and a second chance. Final lesson, God remembers every name. The name genealogical care given to kings is now given to temple servants. God values them equally. So in summary, the first Chronicles chapter 9 describes the Israelites who returned from Babylon, priests, Levites, and gatekeepers who rebuilt worship and community in Jerusalem. Their devotion marks the rebirth of Israel's spiritual life. The chapter ends by recalling Saul's line, connecting Israel's past kingdom to its renewed hope.